Hi, this is Mel. I hope all of you are doing awesome. Today I'm going to do another ghost story. So, this ghost story is a true ghost story, and this is Unintentional Spirit Calling 2. So, Mohini was a lady, and she, after marriage, she had two children. She had arranged marriage, so it was a typical arranged marriage, and her husband was always busy working, and was a kind of person who really didn't pay much attention to his wife. Just did his job, earn living, and Mohini took care of the home, the family, taking the kids to the school, bringing them home, teaching them, and everything that was need to be done. And her husband just made money, stayed outside all day, and came home at night to eat dinner and sleep. And on weekends also, he used to keep himself busy with his own I am like interest, like fixing car, things like that sort of nature. And every time Mohini had a little time after doing household chores and everything, she went to talk to him. He would always say, "I'll talk to you later, I don't have time." So there was like never a time left to talk because he just didn't like talking to her or just even paying attention to her. So she was basically very lonely. But she didn't realize that because all day she was busy on household chores, and by the time everything was done, it's time for her to sleep. And she did a lot of prayer and meditation, so that also took a lot of her time. So as children were growing and they were in pretty much in high school, and they didn't have time for their mother either because they would come home from school and they have to do their homework, and they all have a little bit of chores and things they did, and they were all little, that's the age where the kid wants to earn some extra money, so they will just pick up a little job here and there in the neighborhood. So no one actually has time to talk to her. So she started going for a walk, and everybody would always tell her that, why don't you just keep yourself busy all day long so you wouldn't be needing anybody to talk to. So that's what she did. She did her prayer, took care of the family, kid, cook, and she also sewed her own clothes and mending everybody's clothes. So, and then evening, when there was nothing to do, maybe sometimes, so she will just go for a walk. So as she was going for a walk, she discovered an area where there was a lot of trees, but it had a vibe, very calming vibe. So she would just sit there, and she would take peanuts, sometimes she would take some seeds and stuff, and she would give it to the birds and feed the peanuts to the squirrels, and the squirrels will gather. As soon as she throw a handful of peanuts, there will be like tons of squirrel rustling coming down the trees and trying to eat all the peanuts. And then she would throw some seeds and things for the birds, and they will come and eat. So these things became her friends. So she was more inclined towards gods and prayers and meditation and the nature and birds and trees. And she also did some gardening, so she had a garden where she grew a bunch of things. So then she would just sit there, and every day she would just say it almost verbally, like, I wish I had a friend, best friend, who I can just talk to every day, 2-3 hours. And every day she'll go there and verbally say that, I wish I had a friend to talk to. my husband never talks to me, and just nobody's there to talk. Children are grown up and they don't want to talk to their mommy. So Essie verbally saying that, and then another day she went and she found the bench she sits usually and gives things to the birds and the squirrel. There was a man sitting there, almost her age and extremely muscular build and very handsome looking, and he's sitting there and exercising, and he was feeding the birds and the squirrel as well. And so she went there. She felt a little uncomfortable, but still she felt like she didn't feel any fear or anything. So she just, there was only one bench. So she, after her work, she used to go for a walk, and then she would just sit there. So that is her place. So he said hi and she said hi, and then she found it so easy to just talk to him, and he found it so easy to talk to her. And then they were talking, and they're talking about anything and everything. And then she all of a sudden looked like, wow, it's getting dark. So she was like, oh, I should be going. It's getting dark. I have to go home. And she went home rushing, and she got late actually. Everybody was home, husband and kids. And this is the first time people asked, like, where have you been? It's dark. And she thought everybody's worried about her, but that's not the case. They were worried, where's the dinner? So she was like, oh yeah, dinner is cooked, I'll just serve it. So she heat it up and serve everybody. And then next day she also went, and it went on, and she felt like sort of magnetism towards it, and she felt like finally there was somebody to talk to. And it was just a thing that she would wait for it, and she would dress up for going there, and every day they would talk about things and anything and everything. And then soon she noticed, like, whatever she was saying or wishing, those things were actually happening because she was wishing them. And then whenever she was mad with somebody, that person got like seriously punished. Like, person will fall down, break their leg, or even get sick, and like something will happen. So she's like, she didn't put 2 plus 2 together. She was just thinking, maybe it's happening, it's odd, but it's happening. Anyway, but she felt like extremely kind of like drawn to the person and going daily. But they were not like, there was no love affair. They were not in love, and she wasn't cheating or anything. It's just, it felt like a true friend, what she wished for, true friend. So they would just talk about everything and anything, and she would do all her complaining there, and he would just peacefully listen. And then, like, anything she wanted to do, he was interested, like she would want to. And then, so one day after work, she felt like going to the mall because she had some work to do, like some things to change for children's clothes, and then everybody gave her a lot of job to get these, get that, change these, all kinds of things. So she went to the mall, and she was sitting there. After she finished, she was tired, so she was sitting on a bench, and then she was like, as I was thinking, like, I wish my friend was here. I miss him today. And as soon as she said it, she saw the friend sitting in the same bench next to her. She was like, oh, how did that happen? Where did you come from? I didn't even see you coming from anywhere. And he just smiled. He was like, oh, I just felt like coming to the mall. And this mall was quite a far away from her home. It's not like something in the neighborhood. So anyway, she was odd, but she still didn't pay much attention, and she was just she said, would you want to eat something? And then he said, okay. And then they sat down and they ate, and she saw like he finished so much food so quickly, like instantly. So then after that, she was going home. She's like, do you have a car? Did you drive here? Do you want me to drop you anywhere? And he's like, no, it's okay. I'll just go. And then next day, again, she went. So this became like such a magnetism. One day, what happened is her husband was being mean to her, said something very rude, mean, and she was very angry with him for being mean to her. And so, whatever she said in her anger, and then he fell off and broke his leg, and she was like, wow, I didn't want that to happen. So now she has to stay home and take care. So she's taking care of him, and she cannot go and meet her friend. So she's feeling very sad. So she's doing her gardening, and then when she's doing her gardening, she saw, she was thinking about him, and he just appeared from nowhere. And he said, are you okay? I haven't seen you for a while, so I just thought that I should see how you're doing. And she's like, how do you know where I live? I didn't ever told you where I live. And he's like, oh, well, it's a small world, I guess. And then she kind of got spooked out about it, like how did he appear in her backyard? And her backyard was like in the back of her house, and yeah, even though there was a gate in it, but still nobody was coming like that, because they have to come through the front gate, then go through the back and go to the, it was just not possible for somebody outsider. So she was pretty much spooked. Then what happened is, one day she was not feeling well. She was sick, doing all these things and chores, taking care of husband and everything. And when she was washing her dishes, and she's like, oh, I wish somebody just do all this work for me. I have fever. I don't feel good today. And bam, as soon as she said that, he appeared. He's like, oh my God, you are inside my house. What if my husband sees you? What will happen? He's limping around in the house somewhere. And then he's like, don't worry, nobody will see me except you. Don't worry. And he quickly finished all her work. And by this, she got really spooked out. And she said, I know you're my best friend, but can you not just pop in here and there, because you're really scaring me. I'm sure you didn't come through the front door, because nobody rang the bell, and I'm the only one to open because he's limping around. So kids are not home. So how did he actually appeared in my kitchen? Something very strange. So then she told him, I don't want you anymore. Can you not come anymore? Because it's very spooky for me. So then he didn't come. It was like for months after her husband got better. She went for a walk, and she was strangely missing him so much. So she went to the same place, and she was sitting down, and she's like, I wish he was here, because I miss him so much. We used to talk so much, and it's just such a sweet person, somebody I could talk to and relate to. And bam, he just appeared. And then she said, well, be honest with me. I mean, what are you? Then he said, well, I don't have a physical body to foresee, but I can take the shape of anything that you want me to be. And this is what you wanted. You wanted to be able to talk to somebody. So I just appeared. And then she said, then why in the form of a man? Why is it not in the form? And he said, well, somewhere in your thoughts, in your mind, you have imagined me that way. And then she realized, probably in her deep, dark, down secret, she imagined a man like that. And that's manifested. So everything is possible. Nothing is impossible. So then she was convinced that this is a spirit, and then she said, well, then can I ask you what happened to you? How did you? He said, well, I actually died in this path, and I was just roaming around, and every day I see you coming, and I realize that you need me more than anybody in this world. So you sort of invited me in your life, and we usually go with invitation. We just don't pop into somebody's life. And then she asked, well, how does this ghost or demon possession that happens? And he said that usually happen to people who clings on the past and thinks of the whatever happened in the past, the bad things, and they will talk about it, think about it, and imagine about it. And this ghost demon, whoever died, they become that because there's a waiting period to be reborn or have enlightenment, or just not be born ever again, become free. So this waiting period, they go around, some go around doing mischiefs, that's what they were in their life, and some go around doing good things because that's what they were in their real life. So as she was going every day and asking for it, so he thought this is an opportunity to help her because I'm hanging around anyway. So that's why. So then she realized the whole thing, and she kept him as a friend, and they would see each other every now and then. And she was never scared because he didn't want to do any harm, but